Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Quarantine Concert Series, baby. I'm your host, Kabir Segal. We're at it again, binge hosting shows. Great to be here. Show number 78, 60 consecutive days here. It's been fun. We really appreciate everyone for tuning in and being with us day after day after day and watching on the rebroadcast too. We do this live, but we're so heartfelt that a lot of people are watching the rebroadcast as well. So thank you for that. I'm coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia, from my parents' place. My mom is always watches these things. So hi, Mom. I appreciate you tuning in. So we're going to be doing these. The end is in sight here. The end is in sight. We're going to go to 100 shows. I think that's in early June, and then wind this puppy down. It's been a lot of great work working with my partners, Sandra and Camilo, and then we're gonna go fishing. Let's show them the graphic. That's us going fishing. If you can see it. There we go. That's me fishing. That's Camilo looking over my shoulder, making sure I'm fishing correctly. Sandra's driving the ship with Oreo, and we're going in the direction of Maui, the name of one of their dogs. So I don't know if we'll bring the show back. We're still kind of figuring it out, but I appreciate you for all the great support and energy you've lent the show. All right, by now you know Quarantine Concert Series. A lot of the gigs have gone away. When this international pandemic happened, I got emails from a ton of artists that their gigs had vanished, and even big concert halls like Carnegie Hall had canceled gigs into 2021. There are some states reopening. Missouri is reopening their concert halls, but I think a lot of places it's going to be wait and see, right? So from California to New York, down here in Atlanta, the Alliance Arts Center is not opening right now. So that's what the show is all about: putting the spotlight on artists, putting the spotlight on the people who keep us motivated and encouraged, and with their virtuosity and vitality. And this is a way of thanking them and putting the energy back where they gave it to us all the time. So that's the Quarantine Concert Series. I do want to thank the folks at All About Jazz. All About Jazz. They're a great jazz resource. They simulcast these concerts. Started 25 years ago by Michael Ritchie. It's 25th anniversary. Happy anniversary. If you're an artist, go make an artist page. If you're a patron, go make a patron page on All About Jazz. I also wrote an article recently on supporting artists. There's so many things that you can do. Here's an article. It's called "Become a Patron of the Arts to Help the U.S. Economy Get Back in Tune." So a lot of ways you can help artists. You can go to the Patreon page, obviously buy the music, buy the merchandise, stream the music, host a concert, launch a streaming concert series, do whatever you can do to be there for artists. There's always been a link between artists and patrons going back to the Middle Ages and even well beyond that, before that. So if you can, the arts creative economy makes up about 5% of the U.S. gross domestic product. That includes the film industry, television industry, but of course, independent artists are part of that as well. All right, so we've also started something called the Quarantine Film Series. I finished making my first movie this year. It was awesome. Awesome meaning we were so excited to go to the film festivals. All the film festivals are canceled too. So these are conversations we have in the morning with filmmakers who, like for example, TT the artist. She created a documentary called Dark City Beneath the Beat, an official selection at the South by Southwest Film Festival. No small feat to get in South by Southwest. And it's hard if the festivals aren't happening. It's hard to find the sales agent. It's hard to find the distributors to get the film out there. So this is a way of helping filmmakers, increase their visibility to hopefully get more interest from distributors and just from the general audience. These are the films that will be on your streaming services in the weeks and months ahead, on your Netflix, on your HBO, on your Hulus. I think we're going to do a couple this week, so stay tuned for those. All right, the music word of the day. We always pick a music word of the day, increasing the music literacy, right? Our artist today, his first name begins with a J, so this word is inspired by him. Let's just look at it. Jet. It's a French word. Je parle français. Oui, oui. A bowing technique in which the performer allows the bow to skip or bounce across the strings of the instrument to produce fast staccato arpeggios. Jet. Now, if you can tell me the word of the day, if you can tell me the word of the day, there will be a pop quiz at the end of the broadcast. And if you get that word of the day, you will get a prize. The prize will be a dog giving you a trophy. You know you want that. All right, we have a 4-time defending champion, Claudia Miranda. If you're watching this, let's see if you can defend your crown on the word of the day. All right, Jet. A couple more things here if you want to be on the broadcast. Well, first, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on the Instagram, Cracker. We're also on LinkedIn. 30 million people have lost their jobs. Our heart goes out to you. So if you're watching on LinkedIn looking for a job, we hope this music will keep you inspired, encouraged, motivated to go crush your job search. We're also on Periscope, up Periscope, down Periscope. We're also on Twitch. We be twitching today. All right. You want to be a guest on the broadcast, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. It's increasingly more difficult. We've had a long list of, several dozen people on the waiting list, but we're kind of ending the show. So if you want to skip the line, one way to skip the line, if you're a client of Sandra or Camilo, we'll try to get you on. So that's that. And with that, now we get to the best part of the broadcast, the part where we get to meet the incredible artist. This artist really is incredible. We've had so many wonderful people on the show. And this man is a accomplished composer, arranger, producer, bandleader, multi-instrumentalist, multi-Grammy nominated, multi-Latin Grammy nominated artist. He's an Emmy Award winner. He's written tons of film scores, and he's prolific. He holds 2 doctorates, goes on and on. He's also a very kind and generous man, and you can see that in his music. There's an authentic sound to him, and we have a lot of friends, I suppose, in common. We can probably discover that we'll have even more in our conversation. And with that, please welcome to the broadcast the wonderful virtuoso maestro José Valentino. Welcome. Yes, Charge.
What is up?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Tell us first where you're broadcasting from.
All the way from Gainesville, Florida. And
nice.
Yeah.
We have a southeast. We have a southeast broadcast today. The satellites.
That's right.
You know.
We're here in the swamp.
I hear you. Is it kind of overcast a little bit today? Same weather pattern?
Actually, no. It's really sunny. It's like that cliche sunny Florida weather today. So
nice.
Yeah,
Well, the clouds may be coming from here down there. We'll see. Tell me first, how has the quarantine affected what you were going to be doing, and how are you coping with it?
Sure. Well, I mean, there, I would say 3 facets to what I do as an educator. I'm a performer and I'm a producer. And so the performing side has definitely been affected, but thankfully I maintained the other 2 pretty strongly. But it has affected me in the sense that I feel like I have to be sort of more of a pastor to my students and even to my colleagues who, not just in the academic sector, but also just in the gig community, have to, encourage them. And I've sort of, not willfully, just kind of happened like that through conversation, just where I am just encouraging them and giving them different solutions, almost like prescriptions to what they can do in the meantime so that they can maintain their enthusiasm, their creative flow, and how they can use this particular season to prepare for this new model of the industry that we're tapping into. And so it's affected me, I guess, to answer your question, in a way where I feel like I have a responsibility just to be there for my friends and also for this next generation of aspiring creative professionals. But economically, I'm very thankful that I'm still intact, and so grateful, and I don't take it lightly, and try to help out as many people as I can with the resources that I have available.
Well said, and appreciate you sharing that kind of can-do, resilient optimism with the audience. Tell us, what is a day like in quarantine life for José Valentino? Is there a structure to your day? Do you go for a walk? Do you make your bed? How do you structure your day? Or is there any structure?
Absolutely. I am what they call a concrete random person. What that means is that with certain structure, I like to improvise. So I do like to set parameters and limitations, and then I can flow. If not, I won't get anything accomplished. So I really exercise this concept of pre-grind clarity. as a hustler, as a music entrepreneur, we want to be able to grind and to get a lot of things done. But while we're doing, we're not thinking. We're doing the actions that have already been thought of. And so I really like to take time for myself just to reflect, to dream, to even think of how can I bring wonder to the world? How can I even see wonder in the world in the midst of a global pandemic? What beauties are still available? Some of them could be, emotionally. Some of them could be like physically, or like what we're around, what we have available to us. But having that pre-grind clarity is so essential for me in particular, in order to give my best foot forward, and to contribute and to continue giving my best form of teaching and creative output. I need to spend time just by myself to just actually reflect. And so I do that. I wake up generally between 4:30 and 5 in the morning, and just have like my coffee, my tea. I'll read books. Sometimes I just take a blank piece of paper and start drawing. I like to type and write. I like to take a walk, without any cell phones or anything like that. And so that actually sort of really just clears my mind so that I can go about my day more effectively. And then, I dedicate, I think after that, I actually dedicate time to practice my instrument, just because I'm thinking at the end of the day, that is one of the greatest ways that I express and transmit whatever it is that I'm trying to postulate to society. And if I can have, an expressive voice and communicate meaning, even if it's through semiotics, but communicate meaning through my instruments, then I think that'll translate in my ability to teach effectively, and also to create music that will transmit to other listeners.
Well
So
said.
yeah,
Well said.
and then I take time for writing. I take time for planning, and I mean, I'm done at 9 o'clock actually. So
I hear you.
yeah.
I hear you. Well, that sounds like a very full and productive day. Shambu wants to know who's watching from the Hamptons, West Beach, Hampton. He said, "How can I bring wonder to the world?" What advice do you have to someone who's looking to bring wonder to the
Oh,
world?
sure. That's a great question, Shambu. One thing that I would say is, um, take time for yourself to not compare yourself to others, and take time to even go outside and just realize, like, what how this world is just structured so beautifully. I mean, you can look outside, you can look at sunny days, you can look at different shapes. You can take a trip, just walking outside and just seeing how, like, society does still move, can still move. People can still have an incentive to go out and to do something. Take more priority to um, love your family, whoever your family is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be biological. But one of the greatest ways to discover wonder is to not worry so much about yourself, but concern yourselves with others and see how you can meet their needs. In doing so, I think you'll discover wonder.
Well said. One of the things that brings wonder is your beautiful music. We love to hear some of your music. What would you like to begin your performance with tonight?
Well, I appreciate that. I'm just going to do an impromptu. I'm going to express exactly how I feel, which is sort of a spirit of gratitude. And I hope that it communicates a spirit of gratitude, but also an encouragement for people to continue to be bold and daring, and to see the best in the future. So. Oh, I hear it. Woo! Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You have a big following in Georgia.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Woo!
You ever played? I'm sure you have in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I've done gigs with a guy named Joey Somerville as well, and he's a trumpet player based out of Atlanta. And I've also done some concerts at a few mega churches that are over there, and so
Yeah. Well, that was beautiful. A lot of great, people. Those of you know at home, if you put the emoji on the screen, I will translate your emojis into real life audio effects. So we have some hearts, we have a couple of claps,
Oh, cool,
we have
cool.
some of this stuff going on. So yeah. See, we have some wow, brilliant. Wow, I don't know how to do lightning. Like that. Like, yeah, exactly. So, Sean Boo lighting it up. Tell me, so we have a few questions rolling, and let me just ask you. People, of course, want to know how many instruments do you play?
Yeah. Well, no lie, I travel with this, and it's just pretty amazing. Just the technical facility that this could provide, especially with a digital audio workstation, and you can work comfortably like while you're flying on a plane. And so I learned that real quickly, and I've worked on a lot of projects. Many that have gotten recognition just by laying down the foundation of an arrangement, using advanced deep sample MIDI software, just using that. So I have keyboard skills. My main instrument is the flute and the bass. I grew up listening to my dad play, and growing up as a kid, my dad would play the music of John Patitucci, Stanley Clarke, Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, James Jameson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Anthony Jackson, and so. Then
Is your dad a bass player?
Yeah, my dad's a bass player. Actually, he is the bassist on my first Latin Grammy nominated album, I Make You Wanna Move, and so he played the bassist for that. And it's cool because as I've gotten older, I realized like the immense privilege of being able to collaborate with your father, and you understand that very well because you wrote a book recently that you released in honor of your father, and so I think we cut from the same cloth in that respect. So.
Yeah, important. I mean, the longer you have your parents around, it's a blessing to be able to collaborate with them. And there's often, we all have our own dynamics, and sometimes they can be strained or whatever. But you always, I think, fundamentally love your folks, and you want to collaborate with them. And is there so your main instruments you think are the flute and woodwinds, essentially, that we said, and also the bass?
I actually, they in psychology they have this idea that first language is developed be before, whatever you learn before the age of 6. And so the same way that I learned Spanish and English, I dream in both languages. I feel like they're both my first language. Portuguese would be my second language, even though it's technically a third. So I feel the same way with the bass, because I used to play the bass just messing around as a little kid. But so my second language is my saxophone, actually. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Every other album that I've done, I'm predominantly the bass player for that project.
Have you ever found that playing, being a multi instrumentalist inhibits you in some way? People don't think of you as the go-to for one instrument, or maybe there's so many advantages to it. You can play with anyone, but and I know that becomes your brand anyway. But has there ever been a downside to it?
Yeah, there's always ups and downs, whether you play one instrument or multiple. For me in particular, I didn't say one day that I wanted to become a multi-instrumentalist. It actually happened out of necessity. I used to rely on people to show up for a recording session or to be able to actually deliver a part and, even pay them, and then I wouldn't hear anything from them for a couple months or 3 months or 4 months, and one person was even a year. So at that point I said, okay, I need to learn how to record myself, and so it was out of necessity. I think human beings are really most creative when we are found in positions of being limited, and so that's really how I got to learn how to play other instruments such as the saxophone or and the keyboard and other percussion, and just learn how to produce. And in terms of sort of the brand and what people might perceive, I think because I do have, I say I do have a clear message that I want to deliver, or messages that I want to deliver. I write down, so I know how to communicate, sort of like the front man, if you will. They kind of come across soloistically, and so I've had to release content out there and communicate with people and just offer my services in the past, just to show people that, hey, I can be supportive, because while I am an advocate for my dreams as an educator, my biggest dreams are the dreams of my students.
Yeah.
And I would say as a missionary, my dreams are to help other people realize their dreams. And so you do that from a musical standpoint when you can support and be a supportive role. And so I think the bass teaches me how to do that. And over time you learn ways to communicate, whether it's through social media or in person, and that it's not just the solo thing, but
Yeah.
to further advance your music, it's a collaboration.
Well said. Well said. What would you like to play for us next?
All right. Let's see. How about I do something on saxophone?
Great.
It'll be another improv. Yeah, and I think we'll just call it traveling through time. I think music is wondrous in the fact that we can listen to it and appreciate and acknowledge, the great innovators of our past, and the messages that they transmit through their music. And it's happening in the present, but hopefully I can do some things that can inspire for other people to do musically and just vocationally and, entrepreneurially. But all of it is happening at the same time. And so it's like a seventh dimensional experience, because we're dealing with time, space, and matter that are literally all functioning in a harmonious manner. So.
Yeah, so good.
Cool. Yeah, the fake applause. Woo!
Very much real, my friend. There's people all over the world who are clapping along,
Oh, appreciate it, man.
clapping
Appreciate
along. It's
it.
all projection, right? Sound
Yeah,
waves,
absolutely.
the perception, the reality. So yeah, really good, really good. I wanted to ask you, and we have some questions coming in about your recording. So let's talk about your recent discography, some
Yep.
of the projects you've put out. If we can get them up on the screen, your 2018 was your 2018 release. Talk to me about your project, the Real and Raw live sessions, or actually 2019 release, Real and Raw.
Yeah, yeah, real and raw. Um, that's a project. Basically, it's a celebration of life, a celebration of the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. That I have with a lot of people that are involved. These were all seasons of my life in which I captured live performances. Maybe some for like when I was a student. Like some of the recordings there are actually when I was doing my master's. Some of them was when I was doing an undergrad. Some of them was when I was doing my doctorate, and then just a couple of them are just from my living room, just hanging out, and so the audience is the family. But and so the live, the effects that you hear, especially yeah, the harmonizers and all the pedals. I mean, on the flute, it was all done live. And so I left it to the point where even you can hear on one of the songs this amazing drummer named Jonathan Thomas from Tampa. He was doing this solo, and if you hear closely, he stops and he says, "Can I do my solo again?" And I said, "No, keep going." And we just go, but the energy, the vibe is just so organic. And so I think I needed to do that for myself, but also the message is that, listen, it's important for us to be authentic. A lot of people ask, what's more important, quantity or quality? And as a researcher, I say, well, my approach is mixed methods, so I love both, but make sure you include authenticity and consistency with who you are and reflect that in everything that you do. And so I needed a project that was just real and gritty, and which is why I chose that particular background as well. Everybody wants to have like a photo of themselves looking all snazzy in an alley and that kind of thing. But I mean, that's not the prettiest picture if you think about the background. I mean, it's just kind of raw. But the building in particular in Cleveland, Tennessee, where I used to be a professor, before I transitioned to the University of Florida, has a lot of historical significance. And so I found this spot and I just said, you know what, that's where we're going to do it. And so that's the reflection of that particular project.
Let's put the song list up on the screen if we have it, Sandra. You mentioned a couple of them. I think that's the Shade and Color. Maybe talk to us about Shade and Color, about this album as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a huge connoisseur of hip hop music and jazz music, and in many respects, I actually think they are essentially the same. I don't even think of them as cousins. I just think it's a continuation of jazz music. Maybe, well, jazz music it does have jazz vocals, but largely we understand jazz being the way African Americans communicated in forms of semiotics during political turmoil. You think of Charles Mingus, and then just all kinds of different things that were happening in our society. But I feel like hip hop is now we're improvising, but we finally gave the black community a microphone. And so there's also a correlation of hip hop and jazz that happened not just for African Americans, but there was this interculturalism that existed with Puerto Ricans migrating as well, and so having them to find their voice. And that's why I think Puerto Ricans and the black community, especially in New York, there's an affinity for the platform that hip hop music and jazz music can give to a person to be able to express themselves. And so this particular was called Shade and Color because actually, we were just talking about the importance of authenticity and quality and quantity, but I think there's something to be said about like what's the persona that we put in front of people, and who do we put behind closed doors when we turn off the lights and it's just shade? Are we super colorful, and then who are we when behind closed doors? And so I feel like we can exude our personality when the lights are on, but when the lights are off and no one else is looking, that's a true demonstrative of what our character is, who our character is. And so I feel like whoever we are behind closed doors, that's who we need to be, as opposed to being putting on this facade. And so these lyrics, you see that there's an artist there named El Genie who rapped, and I made the music, and I played predominantly the saxophone throughout, and I had my Fred Gualo actually make the beats, and and I just love rapping too, so yeah.
Talk to me about track number 5. You capture with iPhone. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I actually memorized that freestyle now, but it was in the middle of a gig that I was doing with actually this nationally acclaimed finger tapping guitarist. Her name's Christy Lene from Tampa, Florida. We were doing this gig, and the groove was just so hard. I mean, it was just like boom, da, ding, boom, da, ding, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even. I felt so inspired, and I was supposed to play the saxophone, and I just said, hold up, let me grab the microphone. So it kind of starts off with this last line that I do on the saxophone. I looked at her, and she knew exactly what I was about to do, and I got on the mic, and I said, here's a story, sisters and brothers coming from different mothers on a mission, spread the love to others, changing all the haters to become lovers. You could taste this groove all day. The rhythm to the music is like an open relay. You see, you gotta go with the flow and don't think about it. You go with your instinct and you don't doubt it. Let your voice shout high. We groove till we fly, that's right. See, creativity, spontaneity, individuality, they bring liberty to your mind. Don't let yourself rewind. It's about time for you to shine. Open your eyes to the signs that surround you. Your mission, spread love to people around you. Your personality has gotta be intoxicating. Push the limit to your dreams so your walls are shaking. Gaze up higher, time to inspire. Bring that fire, pursue your desires. Let go of the garbage that the world brings. Know your self-worth, you're capable of all things. Sons and daughters of the Most High King, your value is more precious than all the diamond rings. So we could dance to the music, and we could use it, and we could even fuse it. But don't confuse it, because we could lose it if we abuse it. Use the music right. The music is a mirror that reflects life. We use the music to eliminate strife. Improvise solos, they come down, raining like a shower to devour with the power. And I just go on and on over there. So there you go. That's the third piece.
Yeah, that sounded awesome. And where did you mix and master? I love this record. Where did you mix and master? What was the production process for getting it out the door?
Well, I mixed and mastered in I gave it to my friend Gualo, who made the beats, and so Gualo is he's a polymath, I'd say like you, and where he just has his hands on a lot of different things and does things extraordinarily well. And so he's an audio engineer for the #1 Netflix series in Latin America called La Reina del Sur. He's also a singer-songwriter, but he makes beats as well. And so he's a film scorer as well. He and I won the Emmy Award for a documentary called Art Vessel, and so we did it at his home, just using the software Ozone Isotope.
Got it.
So yeah,
very cool, very cool. Well, I want to ask you about your connection with the divine on the other side of another performance. We would love to hear something. I know you just did something, but we'd love to hear something else if you have something to play for us.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I'll do something on bass and sing. Now, disclaimer, hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Can you hear this?
Loud and clear.
Just so that everybody knows, I can't actually hear it. So I'm going to play the bass without hearing my tone, or if it's a little sloppy, it's okay. Hopefully the message will be transmitted. So I'm going to turn this off too, so I can.
Cool.
Here you go. Thinking of this world today. Oh, there's so much I want to say. Things are changing every single day, but I gotta press on and carry on my way. Yeah, to know, yeah, to know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People question what the future holds, not daring to witness their dreams unfold. And time passes from young to old. Who can tell me of friendships that are cold? Got to remember, love is what we desire. We sacrifice ourselves to lift the other higher. So believe in one's potential and let them know you care. See, life isn't fair, but is there someone there? Gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. And when you wonder why, release your voice into the air. Cause the man upstairs says I'll be there. It's my promise. How's it going? I can't hear a thing.
Sounds great.
I can see now what I'm called to do. Like night and day, it's so clear and so true. Sing songs in hopes to inspire you to feel rejuvenated and renewed. Your future is as bright as the sunlight. I know you're gonna turn your wrongs to right. You'll bring clarity, vision, and insight to the ones who cannot see through the darkness in the night. Got to remember, love is what we desire. We sacrifice ourselves to lift the other higher. So believe in one's potential and let them know you care. See, life isn't fair, but is there someone there? You gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. And when you wonder why, release your heart and voice into the air. Cause the man upstairs says I'll be there. Cause the man upstairs says I'll be there. Cause the man upstairs says I'll be there. It's my promise. We sacrifice ourselves to lift the other higher. So believe in one's potential and let them know you care. See, life isn't fair, but is there someone there? Gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. And when you wonder why, release your voice into the air. Cause the man upstairs says I'll be there. It's my promise. Hopefully that didn't sound too bad.
Great. That was awesome. Sounded
Couldn't
so
hear a
good.
thing. I probably got a little out of tune for a second, but that's okay.
No, it sounded brilliant. Really brilliant. Thank you for sharing that incredible piece with us. And I love how you talked about the man upstairs, and what a wonderful segue.
Yeah,
because
let me, I can't hear you through the StreamYard.
and everyone watching at home,
sorry.
if you,
Headphones, my bad.
anyone watching at home, So check this out, Shirley. Very soulful music and over the top musicianship, all heart. And I like how the lyrics are all about the man upstairs. Talk to us about your connection. I know you have a doctorate in ministry, and you that's something you hold very dear. Talk to me about your connection with the divine.
Yeah. Well, I the doctrine of ministry. When I think of ministry, I think about just meeting people's needs with love and finding strategies to actually ameliorate people's needs, whether it's psychological or emotional or even just relationally, spiritually. Um, and I'm just a person that really loves people so much, and I love studying also and having conversations about faith and what does faith look like. And I'm a person that respects people's beliefs, and so for me, I'm a Christ follower. You know what I mean? And so for me, I love and I follow the teachings of Jesus, and you know. I just try to live my life accordingly. That doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody. It just means that you know that I feel like I got somebody who not just has my back, but you know, like the weight is not on me anymore. This need to be perfect, this need
Hmm.
to strive for perfection. I love the message about it being a gift, and all I have to do is just acknowledge the fact that hey, man, I'm not perfect, and something that I've noticed is when I put things in my hands, like I always find a way to mess it up. You know what I mean? And so just being able to put it in God's hands, man, and just for me, it's also not a manuscript and to get to heaven or to have a connection. For me, it's simply a relationship, and that's what I love, particularly about my faith being a Christ follower. I really feel like God longs to have relationship with us. And so that's what I write about my songs. And as you can see, it says, gay, um, you know, put your voice into the air. It's okay to cry. Release your heart into the air. When you wonder why, release your voice into the air. Because the man upstairs says, I'll be there. The fact that God can and desires to actually talk and communicate with us, So
Yeah.
that's, but
Walk
again,
me through this
that's,
record
yeah.
right here, Walk with God. I noticed a couple of your albums, or a few of your albums, have a spiritual
Hmm.
message. Walk me through this project in particular.
Yeah. Well, this happened. So I think I started working on this particular project back in 2009, and I was walking a lot. I mean, I was walking. It was first for health reasons, just exercising. But man, I just as I was walking and clearing my mind, I know that there's neurological benefits to that. You know what I mean, and chemicals that are released and toxins that are cleansed. But I feel like in doing so, I was allowing my mind to just actually hear the voice of God a bit clearer. And I mean, especially I think just from a practical standpoint, when you walk, you have time to think. You know what I mean? And you have time to revisit and experience, relive episodic memories. And so for me, I just felt like this season where I was walking 4 or 5, eventually 10 and 12 miles a day. It got to that point. I mean, I lost a lot of weight, but it was also like a season where I just felt like I wanted to fast, so that I can clear my head and so that I could feel like I can hear what is my mission, right? And so many of us try to, uh, you know, pursue that role and think that our value is defined by what we do. And then in the process of pursuing the role, what ends up happening is that we lose sight and of what our purpose is. And then where people have that midlife crisis is where they're insecure in who they are. And
Hmm.
perhaps, if you're a person of faith, whatever your faith is, it's whose you are. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so this was a season in 2009 where I really felt like I needed to go back to the essence of identity before trying to pursue purpose and express purpose through various roles. And
Right.
so in the process, I just felt more secure in who I am with all my limitations. I mean, we could, talk business, SWOT analysis. I discovered my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But I mean, essentially, that's what it was through walking and just really having a conversation and really, it was awesome because I got to really um, think and study. Also, it wasn't just the walking, but I feel like the walk, it wasn't just a physical walk. It was just a journey where I said, you know what? I need to fast from relationships. At the time, I wasn't married. I was just dating. And I said, I need to fast from everything. And it just needs to be God and I while I pursue and while I discover what I need to do. Let God be my compass. So.
I love that. I love that. So well said and heartfelt. We have time for one more short one if you have an improv in you or something.
Sure. Well, let's see. I did flute, saxophone, bass, sang, rap. Let's see. So that's the Peruvian Kenna, and my new album that's coming out this month is actually called José Valentino and Alex Acuna, who's a founding member of the Weather Report and legendary percussionist from Peru. And so the album's going to be called Familia with all caps. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm playing it's our rendition of well-known jazz standards, but completely revitalized and just to project this spirit of family as opposed to what some of these standards were initially used for. But it's a beautiful collective and within the realms of Latin jazz and funk and just kind of mixed in a way that it's not trying to package it based on a genre, but just based on who we are. And I have lots of conversations with him, and he talks to me about his life being in Peru and ways of life. And so just hanging out with him over the phone a lot just kind of inspires me to pick up this instrument, just to learn a little bit more. I feel like if I can learn about people's music, it'll be simply a gateway for me to discover more about the identity of a person, or perhaps just the cultural heritage. And I feel like the music really provides a great manual that if you learn the aspects of that particular style of music, you can learn a lot of personality and character traits of a collective culture. And so that's one of the reasons why I love playing this instrument, as well as Ben Suri,
I want everyone to check out josevalentino.com. Check out his website. A lot of great information there. You can see all about his projects. He has a consultancy. He's an entrepreneur. You can reach out to him. Also check him out on all the social media, obviously Instagram. Look him up on Spotify. Subscribe to his stuff so that you'll get notified on his new album, Familia, coming out probably in just a few days. So good luck with the release. I know you have a lot of awards and achievements, and you're highly acclaimed. We also like to give you the highest honor on this broadcast. We always ask the audience, what honor should we bestow the artist? And this one, everyone has now asked me to give you the highest honor. On behalf of the Quarantine Concert Series, Jose, we'd like to present to you the Penguin Trophy. Please.
Woo! Yeah! Do the penguin! Do the penguin!
You got it.
Awesome, man.
You can take that home with you. So there's the Penguin Trophy. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, hold on.
There you go, the Penguin
Yeah,
Trophy.
yeah.
Exactly. We also do have a word of the day winner, Isabel Miranda. Isabel Miranda has the word of the day. Let's give her the trophy. That's the puppy trophy. So let's present that to her. Congratulations, Isabel, for your trophy. I'm sure it's somewhere. There it is. For Jet. So you now dethroned Claudia. We have a new winner for Jet. So for those keeping score at home, the puppy trophy holder is Isabel, and the penguin trophy holder is the great Jose Valentino. So if you're keeping score, we try to keep score like on baseball. There you go. So really a pleasure. You really are a genius, polymath, so humble and kind, and it seems that you have just a great way of being about you, and that comes from just so much maturity and authenticity. So I wish you all the best on what you're doing.
Dude, I
And
wish
it's
you
great
all
to
the
have,
best, man. I really appreciate you doing this for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
of
And
course.
it's great for you to, step up to the plate and pick up a mantle that might come across as easy, but it's not. I mean, it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
to make it, especially make it as easy and as fun for so many artists. So I applaud you, and I just pray and wish all the best successes, whether it's
Thank you, sir.
monetary or vocationally or whatever. But I mean, just happiness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, likewise,
Yeah.
likewise. Speaking of making this show seemingly easy, we want to thank the folks, Sandra and Camilo. Let's get their
Yeah.
website up on the screen. Info soundworksrecording.com. Let's get that on the crawl. If you're an artist and need any kind of audio services, reach out to them, soundworksrecording.com. They're based in Queens. If you mention one of their two dogs, Oreo or Maui, you will get a discount. And you can schedule a time just to be with your dogs. Obviously, charge by the hour on that as well. So thanks a lot, Sandra and Camilo, for helping produce the show.
Yeah.
And with that, we have a great show tonight. It's Caroline Calaveche. She's a great jazz pianist and singer, and we're going to have a great performance 10 p.m. tonight Eastern. Also Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Eastern, matinee and evening shows. So everyone stay home if you can, and happy health. Bye, everyone.